your take on what is a absolute punishment on the stock today.
Absolutely. Well, I've been doing this for a number of years, since 1999. And, well, I was a sell-side analyst, then a buy-side analyst, then a PM, then chief investment officer of my own firm. That being said, this is not my first day at this rodeo. And Micron in particular, and all the memory kind of companies, seem to have this boom-bust cycle.
Yeah.
And the boom and bust can be really close to each other, as evidenced by the price chart of Micron. So what's an investor to do? Well, some people would like to be able to trade this, know when to go in low, when the high is. God bless you on that. I think what you have to do is look at Micron and say, it has terrific growth. There are very few players in this space. There's maybe 6 or 7 companies that are competitors. And for the most part, sometimes bad things like this happen, but sometimes good things happen too. And to be able to trade around that, around these events where there's a sudden shortfall in demand, but it will be made up, I think it's more of a buying opportunity than getting out. Now, the other thing is, if you look at that chart, some people bought it at much higher prices this year, and it could be tax loss selling going on that's really driving the price down today.
So there's a seasonality element to all of this. It's interesting, if you go to analyst recommendations at the moment, look, a lot of people cut their price targets, but still you've got 37 buys on this stock. You've only got 1 sell, and the overall consensus for price target is still at 135. You've got room to run up from an $85. But how does Sanjay Mehrotra get us there in terms of what he needs to signal now to the market? How much can he say, look, put aside China, put aside my exposure to the consumer, I'm all in on AI?
Well, I think he made the case that he's all in on AI, right? Like, they have the products that AI wants and needs. AI, for many reasons, has saved this market, right? I mean, NVIDIA and Meta certainly have driven it. But the real issue here is the AI people are buying stuff and building out their data centers. And I don't know that that's going to stop in any, definable time. And I think,
just to butt in there, Kim, did you get that sort of easing of any anxiety, whether or not it was closely held or far away, that we might be at some pivot point where the demand does start to ease up?
Sure. I mean, well, here's what investors really have to understand. Micron is a very small world in which all of its clients are either all on or all off, or so it seems. And if you remember when we were building out regular cloud databases or cloud data centers, it's lumpy. And what I mean by that is you're either building out or you're not. And all of a sudden it can stop. And whenever several companies that had been building out data centers stopped, the providers get clobbered. That's just the nature of this. And we don't know when it's going to stop. So investors have to be aware that we're not going to be spending in perpetuity to build out AI. There will be a day when people take a pause and actually have to, reap the rewards of building this product and, having people pay for the service.
These mega clusters at the moment, though, that we seem to be seeing is not a signal of us pulling back anytime soon. But does macro policy, does a new administration in any way dampen the spirits or only accelerate them, Kim?
It doesn't seem so, because the companies that are building these data centers out have enough money from what they're doing now. They don't need to be able to say, in the future, I'll be able to, in some very definable timeline, I need to get my money back. So they are going to be building these things out because they have the cash flow. And I'm talking about Microsoft, Google, and Meta. Their regular businesses are providing the capital to build out data centers.
So you said this potentially could be a buying moment for Micron. What about the chip space more broadly? Because everyone's been suddenly in on this focus on software trade.
Right. Well, I think it's great. Like, at some point, software has to come back to winning. I used to be a software engineer, and I would love to be able to, buy a good software company that I think will grow, again, in perpetuity. I like money-making machines. Microsoft has been that, although it had a lull in the 2010 to 2014 range, something like that. But yeah, software is great, but hardware is what is driving me crazy right now, because it seems there is no lack of demand. And I think the software will follow. Now, a lot of people are momentum investors,
Right.
and I worry about NVIDIA about that, because Broadcom's kind of taken a little air out of the room for NVIDIA.